Today I'm sharing what's working right now in 2024. This is July 2024, and I'm sharing a 3-month case study of going from 150 to 12,000 organic traffic per month in just 3 months of work and on a tiny site that has less than 50 organic pages. And I'm going to be sharing all of my key takeaways of what's working right now so you can implement it into your website and your business. All right, so just to give an overview of what I'm going to be talking about in this week's episode, the first thing is I'm going to share basic website info, the overall broad SEO strategy, and the software stack that I'm using to achieve these amazing results. Then I'm going to share the results of the 3-month case study going from 150 to 12,000 organic visits per month, which is still ongoing. So I'm just going to share a sneak peek today because I still want to complete the case study before I share much more. And lastly, I'm going to share my key takeaways of what's working right now in SEO in 2024. So let's begin. Starting from the top, why am I doing this case study? So the first thing I want to do is to experiment and validate whether my SEO philosophy and overall strategy is still effective in 2024 after all these huge major algorithm updates, such as the March 2024 core update, the recent June 2024 spam update. And I just want to experiment and, see what the data shows, whether SEO is still viable or not. Because if you look online, it seems like the end of the world, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Twitter, whether these things still work. And they actually work even better than ever, to my surprise. Second, I want to prove you do not need expensive SEO software that's $99 a month like Ahrefs or SEMrush. So really, I wanted to use Keywords Everywhere, which is a newer tool. Well, not a newer tool, but it's a tool that I've been talking about in recent months because it's less than $2 a month, and I've been searching for an alternative that I could recommend to my students that was way cheaper and could still get the job done, and this case study is proof of that. And lastly, the 20% rule from Elon Musk. He has a biography by Walter Isaacson, and he talks about in the book that any manager needs to spend 20% of their time actually doing like their core competency. So for example, if you're an engineering manager, you need to spend 20% of your time coding. For me, this is to keep my skills sharp. And he said that you can't follow a general who doesn't even know how to ride their own horse. And that's something that I want to practice what I preach. So let's talk about the website. Here's some info about the website in general, and later on when the case study is complete, I can share a lot more. But right now, the niche is in technology and consumer electronics. It has a tiny domain rating, super low, of single digits, 3 domain rating, which is nothing. If you ask any SEO expert, that's pretty much 0. Anything that's single digits is barely anything. Now, the site is very small. At the moment, it has 49 organic pages total, and 37 were added in the 3 months during the case study. And currently it's ranking for 5,600 keywords total, and that's an average of 114 keywords per post on average. So think about that. There's only 49 organic pages, but there's 5,600 keywords that the site is ranking for. So this is, efficiency at its best. Now, let's talk about the broad overall SEO strategy. Now, this isn't everything. I couldn't fit it on a single slide. And, to be honest, I have hours of content in my affiliate starter kit, in my one-on-one passive income lifestyle 2.0 mentorship that goes over SEO strategy and content. But just to run through it, basically the first step was to revamp all the old posts and to unpublish any low quality ones. So there was about 12 pages on this site when I started, really nothing at all. And some of them I just had to turn off, like unpublished, because they just didn't serve the site or the niche. The other ones I had to revamp. Now, the posting frequency is 2 to 3 posts per week, and we actually averaged 3 posts per week during the 3-month period that we've been creating content. Last month, haven't done anything at all, as you'll see when we go over the results next. 1,000 to 2,000 word count on average. This just happens to be the range that I see most posts landing on. And I think the posts that are performing well, they tend to have higher, closer to the 2,000 word count. 5 or more original images per post with appropriate alt text. Not gaming this, but alt text is something that has SEO impact. And the original images, when so many people are using royalty-free images and just really just all these reused royalty-free, copyright-free images, original images stand out so much more. And the next thing is keyword clusters for easier internal linking. So when I'm writing the content, I try and write content in groups of what is the content that's most relevant to each other, so that when I'm manually doing internal linking, which I like to have 3 or more per post, which I see a lot of people not having any internal linking at all, it's really hurting your SEO and your site. And when I say cluster, I just mean what is the most relevant content to each other, so that when you're doing internal linking, it's easier to remember what did I write about and what can I link this post to. Whereas if you had to go back, let's say you start doing internal linking 6 months from now and you have to go back and figure out what connects to what, it's just way too complicated, right? So I like to just write things in bunches of what's already related so that it's fresh in my mind. Next, I have the exact match keyword in the H1 title, the meta description, the URL, just simple on-page, SEO. And then lastly, reposting on social media such as Pinterest, Twitter, and Facebook. Pinterest is a game changer for a lot of organic traffic and a lot of blogs, something that I've been investing way more into this year and I've been learning. So let's actually jump into the software stack, and then I'm going to share the results with you. So the first thing is that the website is on JetPage. It's not on WordPress. I don't spend any of my time dealing with plugins and themes and performance issues and optimizations and all of that just drudgery that it just slows you down. Like, if you want to get to 3 posts per week consistently for 3 months straight, you cannot waste any time on anything that's not content creation. Simple as that. So that has helped me in my workflow. All I do is I hit clone on a existing blog post, and especially one that's already performing well, that just gives me validation. Okay, this post structure seems to work, so let me just copy and paste, rinse and repeat. And the SEO tool, Keywords Everywhere, less than $2 a month. It's a Chrome extension. And basically, this just gives me the search volume from Google Keyword Planner while I'm doing Google searches. So it just shows me all of that. And what I like to do with Keywords Everywhere is I like to use the Google autocomplete. So I search up a keyword, I look at the autocomplete that populates underneath it to see the other relevant search volumes related to that keyword. And it just gives me so much idea of what the search intent is of the user and what to include as H2 and H3 headings in my post. The other free tools I'm using, Google Search Console, absolute must. One of the best SEO tools, completely free, and it's from Google. So it's just giving you the best, most accurate data you can ask for. And it's also giving you unique data because you get to see the number of impressions per search query, which is something you don't actually get from these free or even the paid SEO tools because they're all just estimating. Whereas Google Search Console is giving you real data on real world user feedback and user search queries. I use those search queries to optimize my content. Next, Google Trends. And also just the SERP results, like literally just Googling the keyword, just look on page 1, looking at the posts that are ranking right now, looking at the data regarding their domain authority, the word count, the post structure. That alone can tell you like all you need to know about what you need to rank on page 1. And lastly, I use the SimilarWeb Chrome extension just to see site traffic and traffic sources. Let's jump into Ahrefs here, which I know I said I'm not using, and it's true, I'm not using. I'm only using it to overlook the current performance to see where it's ranking on keywords, but I did not use it for any keyword research. I literally only use Keywords Everywhere. This is the whole point of this case study. So starting back here, so I had to record this so I could actually do this in one take. We started the case study in mid-February 2024 with 12 organic pages, and it was getting 146 organic traffic per month, so less than 150. And when we started this case study, the March 2024 core update was right around the corner. So I didn't even know that, that was coming up. And obviously that was such a huge algorithm update that had a lot of negative impact, at least according to people on YouTube, on Twitter. But I made a video roughly around this time, I think when the update finished up, I think in April. And I was noting how I was seeing growth in my sites. This is one of the sites I was talking about, albeit this is a smaller site, but I was seeing consistent growth even during the March 2024 core update and after. And as you can see from this graph, the growth has actually only accelerated even more. So as you can see from this graph, not only did we continue to grow through the March 2024 core update, but as of late is absolutely exploded into this hockey stick like growth. As you can see here, just to walk you through, we started the case study in mid-February, and then by the end of April, we were at 42 organic pages. So we added on, about 30 organic pages to the site within just a couple months, really. So during March and April, we were really grinding, really getting a lot of posts out, over 15 per month. And then as you can see now, we've plateaued. We only have 49 organic pages as of July. And you can see here the June 2024 spam update began June 20th. And we're currently looking at, and you can see here that our organic traffic just breached over 12,000, and we have 49 organic pages. So basically, as you can see from here, we just had this rocket ship type growth, but we actually haven't added many more pages in the last month. And it's, because I just got busy. I've just been doing this case study part-time, not been really spending full-time effort on it. If I was, I'd be doing YouTube instead. But just to go over some of the other numbers here on this page, as you can see, domain rating is a 3.2, URL rating is a 6, 5,600 organic keywords, 12,100 traffic. And if you look at the traffic by location, which I think is really interesting, 91.2% of the traffic is coming from the US. And then if you look at the 2.6%, 2.3%, basically 5% is coming from Canada and from Great Britain, Australia, and then we only have 0.3% traffic coming from India. This is really, really great sign that the traffic to this site is extremely high quality. If you want to run display ads, so let's say Mediavine or something like Google AdSense, if you're getting a lot of your traffic, like let's say 10%, 20%, 30% from India and Brazil, which is not considered tier one traffic, really the best is US. But then if you have the other English speaking countries such as Canada, Great Britain, I think Australia, New Zealand, like having those countries are tier one, and that's going to give you the highest revenue per mil, RPMs per 1,000 sessions and 1,000 visits or views or whatever, metric. So basically you get paid a certain rate depending on how high quality is your traffic. Is it mostly coming from the US? And in this case, 91.2% from the US, which is just perfect. If you want to get into these higher tier display ad networks, they require you to have roughly 40-50% coming from US traffic. And, that's one of the biggest markers, whether you have a quality site or not. There are sites that have a lot of traffic, but they're getting most of it from India and from Brazil. And that's just not worth a lot of money because those countries, that simply put, they just don't buy a lot of stuff and they don't buy expensive things. So the traffic is worth less. Right. So let's jump into the takeaways. Now that I've shared like a little bit about the results here, which are they actually blow my mind. And, I've been doing this a long time, and I knew that this case study, the site would grow because I've done this hundreds of times and I've reviewed and helped so many students to have the same kind of growth. And actually, I do have one student who has even bigger growth with a similar size site, slightly bigger than this. But they actually have even more traffic than this case study. So what I'm teaching is working not just with me, but with my students. Now, let's start with the key takeaways. The first one is momentum is everything. So when I was cranking out, 15 posts per month, part-time, right? It's so much easier when you get into this streak where you're knocking out, let's say 3 posts per week, and you're hitting publish at a regular frequency and you feel good and you just see the numbers go up and you're basically just staying disciplined, and that momentum carries. When I take a break, let's say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I come back, that first post from not having done this for 3 weeks is so much cold start time of having to knock off the rust, having to remember where is everything, right? Having to remember, oh yeah, this is how I do my workflow. I go from keywords everywhere, the Google search, and then, I copy and paste this. Like, just that cold start time might take you a week. It could take you days, it could take you hours, it could take you a week just to get back to where you were. So when you start, don't stop, because momentum is everything. Next, the boring stuff works. This case study has 0% AI content. It only has 49 pages, but it's very, very high quality pages, each and every single one of those. And you don't need to overspend on SEO software like Ahrefs, SEMrush. Honestly, if you're not an SEO agency, cancel that stuff. It's $99 a month. It's not worth it. Keywords everywhere, less than $2 a month. And just a pro tip, if you want to save some money, turn it off when you're not using it, and that will last you. That 100,000 credits will last you like probably for a year. I made that mistake. I burned through 200,000 credits during this case study because I wasn't paying attention. So beginners always overcomplicate things. And I just wanted to also prove another thing with this case study, which is simplicity. I'm only using 2 softwares really. And the rest is Google Search Console, or just literally Google search, or Google Trends, right? It's all free. And honestly, stop getting so concerned with your gear and your setup and everything. It just comes down to the quality of the content at its core, okay? That's just something I wanted to prove with this, is like, it's not about the tools. It's really just about putting in the work, staying consistent. Like, that's it. It's boring. It's not glamorous. It's not like the newest tool or the latest ChatGPT or GPT model 4.0. It's really just the fundamentals, okay? And that's just something that I really have been talking about in recent months of, we're not doing 500 AI content in 3 months. We did 37, but 37 is enough to rank for 5,600 keywords total and then 12,000 per month organic traffic with 37 pages, 49 pages total, but 37 new pages in 3 months. That's all it takes. Okay. Now that's a lot. Don't get me wrong. 3 per week for 3 months straight. That is a lot, but this site has less than 50 organic pages. Like, that's a tiny site, honestly, by today's standards. And then the next thing is quality over quantity. Going back to this whole, there's 49 pages on the site, and it's outdoing sites that probably have hundreds of pages. And, again, with the AI content, it's so easy to be lazy these days and to just publish, mass produce really crappy content, to be honest with you. It's hard to do handmade content that is, again, like 2,000 words, it has original images, and it's written by a human, and it's iterated upon multiple times. So quality is evergreen, and it's your only moat against the competition. That's it. Because if everyone has the same tools, think about it. Everybody has the same access to ChatGPT, the same access to the same AI tools. I can't tell you how many times that I've done website reviews lately in the past year where it's clearly ChatGPT content. I don't even need to run it through another software to analyze. I can just tell. And if I can tell without even knowing your niche and at a glance, like not even really reading it, just reading like a sentence and just being like, yep, ChatGPT, that's bad news for you. And I can tell you that the quality of the content on this case study, it's not even 100% on like an absolute scale. Like if 100% is the absolute best you could do, I would actually grade myself an 85%. But 85% is still a world away from the 20-30% quality of ChatGPT just like blurted out, to be honest. So you can tell quality easily if you know your niche, and if you actually had to read it, it's easy to tell apart what is high quality, what's not. And there's still levels to it. Again, I only give myself an 85%. And that's after working on the template 4 times and having 4 different versions and going back and rewriting and, making things better. It's still not 100%. And so if my stuff is only 85%, I guarantee you, and I review sites every single week, and I've reviewed literally hundreds of sites, most people's content is trash. And that actually brings me to my next point here. How do you know quality? Okay, how can you tell if your content quality is good enough to get to this place where you have this hockey stick growth and you're getting from 150 a month to 12,000 in 3 months? You need to have quality content. There's no shortcut to that. And the best way to do that is to get feedback. specifically from someone who knows what they're doing, from someone who knows what quality content even looks like. So, our paid Discord, which is approaching 300 members now, we're actually going to start doing weekly live stream Q&As with one of our coaches in the group. And I'm really excited to start doing this and take the group really serious now and, be spending a lot of time there. I've already done 4 website reviews with a 5th one on the way. I've done 2 live streams so far. Basically, when it comes to feedback, get eyes on your project, your website, your YouTube channel as soon as possible. I've reviewed both websites and YouTube channels inside of the Discord, and I've also done hundreds of those privately via email. And if there's one thing I gotta say, it's like course correct as soon as possible, because a lot of people are on a path where you're never gonna get results. You're on a path it's just never going to work. Honestly, that's just the hardcore truth that you must hear today if you want to get on the right path. And I know what the right path looks like because 1, I'm doing it, but 2, I've also coached students to do it as well. And it's very clear when you're not on the right path. And I can just guarantee you will never get results if you keep heading down that 500 AI generated article path of just laziness. Okay, it's just not going to get there. But instead, what if you could just do less but get more? That's the meaning of efficiency. And for me, it's like harder to do things by hand, but if it means more results, it's actually the most efficient path. So moving on to the next key takeaways, don't reinvent the wheel with your blog post or your website structure. I see this mistake way too many times. Why do beginners think that they literally have to create something unique as far as a blog post structure, as far as a website structure, when they don't even know what a good website looks like? Just go look at the biggest websites like CNET, for example. So I'm in the consumer electronics niche, and CNET's one of the biggest sites, one of the most successful sites in this niche, in addition to like Wirecutter, etc. Just look at their posts and emulate that. That's a good starting line. Now, obviously, I like to put my own original spin. I like to put a little twist there, but still, like, start there, and because they've spent millions to get this right, and just go from that baseline. Like, don't come up with like some, just brand new thing that no one's ever done before. Don't get cute with it. Next, user experience. So this site is passing 100% on core web vitals. Although I don't think that that's like the most important thing, it is a factor. And that's something that I'm grateful that JetPage is just fast and I don't need to spend 1 minute of my week thinking about performance. And in addition to that, EEAT. So, the reason why I don't like a lot of like SEO influencers is because, and then they'll say stuff like EEAT doesn't work or it doesn't make a difference. It makes a difference to the user experience. Like, don't be so short-sighted you miss the forest for the trees. Basically, if you want to get sales, and that's another thing that SEO influencers don't understand. They think that like whatever your SEO results, like that's the end goal. The end goal is sales. The end goal is affiliate sales. And by the way, this site is selling thousands per month on Amazon Associates, and it's actually making a lot of Amazon Associate sales. Actually, last week it sold one product, a headphone that is $1,800. I was shocked. I don't have any content about that, by the way. Like, I don't have any affiliate links to it. I've never reviewed that product. I've literally never used that product in my life or talked about it, but somebody bought it through an Amazon Associates link, that just shows you the power of affiliate marketing. It's insane. It's collateral, basically. It was probably in someone's cart, and they clicked one of my affiliate links on the site, and then they probably just bought whatever was in their cart, and it counted it. Crazy. But EEAT, so, at the end of the day, it's about trust. So if people get on a random site and there's no author, there's no personal experience in the post, it's not from first person, it's not with original images, it's just like this super vague, super like, again, like maybe it's an AI generated with some plugin and it's a product review. The product reviews are the last thing you want to AI generate, because it's so easy to tell if someone has actually used a product or not, like especially in my niche. So like with informational content, it's a little more murky in terms of AI generated versus, experience. But again, experience is something that when you speak from first person and you speak from experience, it's just way different than summarization from AI. So with product reviews, it's even more apparent. It's just so clear when someone's actually got their hands on the product. Like they can just I mean, even just the images alone can tell you. And then lastly, internal linking on this site is very strong. Well, it's strong and it's methodical. So basically anything contextual links to each other, and nothing that is not related does not link to each other. People have very lazy internal linking or none at all, where they either have just zero internal links, or when they do links, it's like the, related post at the end. It's just like latest post or whatever. You don't really want to do that. You want to link to things that are very, very, very closely related. And wrapping up, the last key takeaways from the case study. So I mentioned in an SEO video that I did that actually a lot of people were saying, they gave feedback that it was the best video they'd seen on this topic of SEO, especially after the March 2024 core update, which was kind of a surprise to me because I kind of just made that video and I didn't really think, much of it. I just released it and a lot of people actually got a lot. So I want to summarize the 5 principles for Evergreen SEO from that video, part of my overall broader strategy, my philosophy. Now, I do have a change about one of these principles that we might have to remove because I've changed my mind about this. So the first thing is like no black or gray hat tactics. Again, this is why I don't really like mega SEO influencer stuff, because they lean on towards like the black and the gray hat tactics. I just don't do that. And it works. Like the boring stuff works. And, people don't want to hear that because it's just hard work. It's just grinding. And it's just doing things the slow way, like by hand. Minimal AI. So I don't use any AI for this case study, but I'm not against AI. Like using AI content is not bad inherently. It's just that when you give people a tool, they abuse it. They just max laziness once they get their hands on a tool. That's why I just have this stance on it. It's not that I'm against AI at all. Like I love AI actually, and I research AI every day. But for this actual job of, high quality content, it's just not where I need it to be. And to be honest, it just doesn't produce the best product. Second, the highest quality content possible. So, I've talked about this earlier. How do you know if your content is even quality? Well, I mean, honestly, the only way for you to tell is probably to either compare it to what's already doing well, or to have someone look at it. And getting fresh eyes is probably the easiest way, just because, look, again, I've looked at hundreds of sites and most content sucks. Let me just be honest there, including my own, which is why I had to iterate over and over and over to get it to that level where it's now at an 80%, 85%, where it can rank not just page 1, but it can rank in that top 3 on Google, even with a domain rating of 3. So next, the third principle is micro niching down, branding, EEAT. All of these things revolve around like, does your site actually have a mission statement? Does it have a target audience? Is it actually niched down? Or is it vague? Is it vanilla? Is it broad and like nobody needs to care about your site because it's just so broad? So there's a big difference between when you get all these things together, and it's not just one thing. Another thing that I think is a mistake a lot of beginners make is they think that there's one hack that is the difference between just exploding and becoming successful and then why they're struggling. It's everything. It's the aggregate of just doing all these things together. That is how you get these crazy results. And it's not rocket science. It's actually way simpler than a lot of SEO influencers will make it out to be. They try and make it seem like it's this crazy algorithm when they don't know the algorithm either. And anyone who tries to convince you otherwise, it's just not true. So moving on to the fourth principle, which is, I'm actually changing my stance on this. This was the 50-50 principle. And I used to say 50% of your content should be informational, no affiliate links. 50% should be could be affiliate links. You don't want to do 100 because that's way too selly. It's way too spammy and low quality looking. But this case study, I'll be honest, this is 90% affiliate content. So what this tells me is it's not about affiliate versus info. It's about quality versus low quality. And the problem is that affiliate content tends to be low quality and spammy. Now, to add to this, to actually go the other way, info content I used to think was really, really good. And it is as far as establishing authority. But I think that info content is the most likely to be commoditized, the most likely to be susceptible to the AI overviews update, to where an AI overview from the Google search can answer the question. So I'm changing my stance to where affiliate content's actually a higher moat because it's harder to do reviews. you need to get your hands on the product. You need to, actually have experience with it. And it takes more energy, takes more time, takes more effort. Okay. So I'm seeing my affiliate content absolutely just be the bulk of the traffic. And that's true of my student sites as well. And info content is more commoditized, as higher competition. It has higher volume, but it's higher competition. So chances are, like, you have a higher chance to rank for affiliate content, especially if it's niche. Lastly, diversifying to multiple platforms, YouTube, TikTok. If I were really taking this case study serious, like if this was my full-time job, or just like if I was really pursuing this as a side hustle, I would be doing YouTube actually. I just have been doing this case study part-time and just with the written content, just to prove like written content blogging still works in July 2024. It's working better than ever, to my surprise. But YouTube is where I would actually put 70% of my energy towards, because I just think YouTube is an even better platform for affiliate content and for affiliate sales, and as far as discoverability and as far as a moat. It's not easy to replicate a YouTube video. It's pretty easy to replicate a blog post. It's very hard to do a YouTube video, even with all the AI tools, especially if we talk about products. Products with AI, video generation just doesn't mix well. And trust me, I'm up to date on the latest AI video stuff. I'm talking about products, branded products in hand. Like, you can't AI generate that. So talk about what's next for this case study. Just to wrap up, what are my next goals with this? Where do I want to take it? And then I could share more once it's complete. But I want to scale this to 50,000 unique sessions per month by adding 100 or more blog posts over the next 6 months. So it's a really high pace, but I think with the traction we have now, I'd like to scale this up. I still will probably do it myself by hand in my free time, even though it's going to be hard because I got a busy rest of this year, Q3 and Q4. But I think that this case study is showing a lot of promise, and I want to keep it going because it's just fun. And then planning to apply for Mediavine after hitting the 50K unique sessions per month. As you saw, we're at 12,000 per month organic, so we're a good chunk of the way there. But honestly, I think the site could level up even more. And lastly, if I really want to turn this into a full-fledged business, that's an option. And I would like to expand to YouTube if people are interested in seeing grow a YouTube channel from scratch. Because again, I think YouTube's actually the platform to be investing in. But just look at these SEO results, and honestly, like, this is still super viable right now. It's more viable than I thought. Amazon Associates is more viable than I thought too. I actually talked down upon that earlier this year. I said that most serious affiliates aren't really focused on Amazon Associates, which is true. But if Amazon Associates, like, you're selling thousands per month on there, like this tiny site is doing, then you know what? That's actually pretty viable if you were to invest more into there. So that wraps up this sort of like in progress case study. Try to share as much as I can that I'm learning from this. And the best thing about doing things and getting your hands dirty and going back to that 20% rule from Elon Musk is you learn so much on the job. You learn so much when you're actually doing every single day and you're like the nuts and the bolts and you're just getting your hands dirty. It's insane how much I'm learning. And like, I've been doing this a long time. So if I'm learning things every single day by doing things, there's just so much like details in between the content and the workflow and the process that there's always more to learn. You can always get better too, as far as your skills. And I'd say like skill is what helped the execution so far for the case study. This is what it looks like when you know how to execute and you have strong strategy and fundamentals in a system. You can get growth like this if you know what you're doing. And that's just something that I wanted to show you. And it's still possible even after all the algorithm updates. If anything, the algorithm updates, they help this site to explode even further. I truly believe that. I think that the algorithm updates, like especially when you look at the growth after the June spam update, it's like an absolute rocket ship. So this is just to show that this is still working, but you have to focus on the boring stuff. Chasing after like the newest AI tool and publishing hundreds of articles, it's so tempting. Don't get me wrong, like, am I tempted to do that? Yeah, but do I know where it's going to lead? And the answer is, I've seen it through other people's case studies of just getting penalized, getting manual action, etc. Like, I want to avoid that pain and that heartache, because you could lose all your work in a week after an algorithm update. But if you just do the boring stuff, you don't really have to worry about these kinds of things. And if anything, it might work in your favor. So if you enjoyed this video, smash the thumbs up button, leave a comment below, hit the subscribe. I'm going to be trying to do 1 episode per week. So if you like SEO, affiliate marketing, online business, check out the rest of the videos in this playlist that I'm going to link right here. But I wish you the best of luck. If you have any questions, leave in the comments below and take it easy.